Tim Lane Shapiro, Divorce661.com, and this is the Divorce661 Daily Perspektiv for January 8th, 2025, Daily Perspektiv, episode 67. It is Wednesday. Fires are all over the place in LA County. Hope you're doing fine. I hope you're talked to someone today who said their mom's house was lost in Altadena. So sorry for anyone that's going through that. We know people that are being evacuated. We're obviously in Santa Clarita, and so far we're okay. We've got a couple of warnings. I know something's going on in Newhall, and I think up north, Lancaster area, I believe, or Leona Valley. So hopefully it doesn't make its way down here. Kind of crazy. It was very disruptive for us. Our building lost power yesterday and all day today. We work remote, so it makes it nice. We're under warning of power outages as well. So far, we're faring okay, but we did have trouble getting a hold of clients on consultations today. I'm sure some cell towers are down and that sort of thing. So we did what we could, rescheduled what we had to, but we will eventually get to you guys. And I know you guys are going through a tough time. So let's get into it. I just want to talk about what we're going to go over today. We had an array of consultations covering some complex and straightforward cases, nuances of mediation, and talk about some pension division, talk about spouse support issues, as well as insights on how the e-file streamlines our process. I've been talking about that pretty recently. We're doing a huge overhaul of all of our systems, artificial intelligence, our AI answering service, Rosie. We're changing over our client management portal. We're bringing all of our clients over from a previous model to a new model that is more in the cloud, that interacts, that connects with, or integrates is the word I'm looking for, with other software. It'll integrate perfectly with our e-file system. It'll integrate with our electronic notary service, and it'll be even more fluid than our previous years in the past, just because it'll move through these various processes all from a single portal, and they all talk to each other forwards and backwards, which is nice. Just to go over the stats, we e-filed 7 new cases today, 2 in Riverside, 4 in Los Angeles County, and 2 in San Diego counties, a variety of different cases, mostly the standard process. We're going to go initial petition, FL 100, default with agreement type case. I think 2 of them were summary dissolutions, which we're always happy to take care of for you. 4 consultations today. As I said, we had some trouble getting hold of some folks. We got hold of everyone eventually, but the quality of the call was very hard to hear in one of the cases. So apologize for that. So yeah, a ton of consultations. We're only, really the first 8 days into the new year. We have 15 new cases we're currently working on, as I say, due to our technology we use and our artificial intelligence and whatnot. We're able to handle the volume. So please give us a call. We'd be happy to help. Okay, so consultations. I'm going to go over just some of the things that came up in those consultations for those that I could hear and we could communicate. First one comes from a San Bernardino potential client. These are people that just called, haven't become clients yet. They had actually used another paralegal firm out their way, named to be remain silent on, and never throw anyone under the bus. But what happened is they had filed a year ago, and here we are a year later, obviously, and they are still not done. And what I didn't like about what I heard is that this particular paralegal firm, there's a lot of things I don't like about different business processes or how people run their shop, if you will, is some paralegals will only work with one spouse, and they kind of operate as attorneys, and they won't help the other spouse, which I think is terrible. I don't recommend you ever use a paralegal firm that does not work with both spouses as a neutral third party. These folks broke the process down into each step of the process. So I said, well, did you already pay these folks? She said, yes. And I said, well, did you pay for the whole thing, or what happened there? She said, no. So they charge you to do the initial filing. Then they charge you to serve the spouse. Then they charge to do the disclosures. And then they go to charge for the settlement agreement and judgment package. And, I think what maybe they're trying to do is, I don't want to use the word loss leader, but they're saying, hey, how much is it to file for divorce? Some air quotes, file. Oh, it's X amount, 500, 700, whatever their fee is. I don't know what it was. I didn't ask. And so you file for divorce, you pay the $500 or whatever that number is. They file your case and say, here you go. Here's your petition. It's filed. It's ready to be served. Okay, what's the next step? Oh, now they need to be served. Okay, how much is that? 100. Most I think process servers are charging 100, $150. I don't know if they're a process serving company also, or if they outsource it and then take a cut, or how that works. But that then there's a separate fee for that. Okay, that's done. Now what? Oh, now we need your disclosures. Guess what? Another fee. And I don't know if they're disclosing the breakdown of these fees. Like, here's our total fee. It's $2,000, but it's 500 for this, 100 for this, 500 for that, 1,000 for the. But it looked like with the cost all added up with through this paralegal service, if they made it all the way through, is going to be about $2,000. And so I don't know if they're like walking you into, hey, incremental payments, but eventually it's a lot more than say us who just flat out do flat fees right out the gate. You go to our website, divorce661.com. Our fees are right there, plain as day. There's no tricks. There's no additional fees. It's not per person. It's a flat fee for both of you as a neutral third party. So I'm going to probably raise my prices. When I heard some of the fees people are charging and how they're walking people in, like slow walking them into their service because it's cheaper up front. Ours is flat 1,200. They're maybe 500 to get started, and then they charge them as they go. It just seems like a bad business practice. The other thing I didn't like about what they did is they were not really working with the other spouse. They never contacted the other spouse. They're really operating like a law firm, which I don't think is the way you should run your business, because you're setting up and potential. Obviously, if you're using a paralegal, you're likely trying to get this through as an amicable divorce. How's that going to work when they'll never talk to your spouse, or they won't reach out to them? And they actually personally had this person personally served. So here it is, amicable couples. Imagine you and your spouse are amicable. You hire a paralegal service to handle your divorce, and you file, and you don't know any better. So they say, well, now you got to have them served, and hire a process server. They get served. That's just going to upset people, and they don't even know it's coming. Did they coordinate with them? Did they say, hey, let them know it's coming? Probably not. With us, you never get served in that way. You never get personally served. Everything we do is electronic. Most of the courts have some type of electronic filing, an e-filing that we utilize as part of what we're doing for our process. And our clients, when they ask on the consultations, like, hey, let me know when they're going to get served. That's not going to happen. We're going to upload a form to the portal. We're going to send it out to them for electronic signatures. They're going to e-sign it. And guess what? They've been served. It's that simple, people. So don't get pressed into hiring a process server or the sheriff or things of that nature. And that's why I make all this content. So I guess what I'm doing here is kind of talking about how this paralegal firm worked versus how mine works, and kind of the nuances and why I think what we do is better with our flat fees, with how we work with both spouses for the same fee. I guarantee that this company and many companies, not just this one, that if the spouse then went in and said, hey, yeah, we're amicable, I want to come in and do my side of paperwork, guess what? I bet they duplicate the fees and say, hey, now we need to file your response, X amount of dollars. Now we need to do your disclosures, X amount of dollars. Now we need to, settlement agreement, and we need to talk to you. So there's another fee for that. And they double up on you. At the end of the day, I think our flat fee pricing beats just about anyone, anywhere, for the level and quality of service that you get and the experience that we have in specializing only in divorce. Let's see what else we got for you here. And just finishing up on that, they turned out that they were really not communicating well. They were not making a lot of progress. And that's why they had reached out. They said, hey, we're not getting a lot of communication from this firm. We're kind of lost in the process. Spent 30 minutes of a 15-minute consultation with them to kind of explain so many things. They said they didn't. Well, I only talked to one, so I stopped saying they. But so many things she said that it was never explained to them. They were lost in the process, didn't know what was going on. No communication between them and the paralegal firm, and honestly, not great communication between the two of them in reaching agreement. And what I had to tell her is that I'm not going to get you any further down the path of finalizing this if you guys are not communicating, talking about terms, reaching agreement, and so forth. But I was able to answer a lot of questions about the issues related to division of assets and debts, and are they able to have with their pension divisions. There was a pension and two 401ks that were smaller, and they said, hey, are we able to keep one offset against the other, so we're only dividing one? I said, yes. This is basic information, people, and they've been working with this paralegal firm for a year, and they didn't know that. They couldn't even get a hold of them to have that conversation, which is bizarre. And here I am giving it away for free, as I always do in my consultations and in these podcasts and videos we make. All right, enough ranting. Another consultation. Are we on consultations? Yes. Riverside County case. The couple had already separated, just looking at my notes, the couple had already separated and were in agreement on the majority of terms. They had divided most of their assets and debts, but needed help calculating support numbers and navigating the process to finalize their divorce. So that is pretty much high level what many of our clients look like. They've discussed like what to them what is important, maybe the kids and division of the assets, maybe the house, who's keeping what car, if there's going to divide up some other debts and whatnot. And then there's just some fine tuning that they need a little bit of help with. While we don't do mediation, we can help you guys fine tune things. If you have questions, you need options, solutions. Tim, how can we do this or that? I'd be happy to help you, but we won't make decisions for you. We don't tell you what we think you should do, but we can definitely lay out some options for you. Anything short of mediation, because we don't do that, but we would be happy to refer you to a mediator, as I did in the case from San Bernardino County, where I said, look, don't hire me. Sorry, I'm going back to the first consultation. Don't hire me yet. I know you're not happy with the last paralegal, but I'm not going to be able to get you any further. Go talk to a mediator. I gave a referral. This is purely financial in nature, and see if they can get you there. Have a consultation, sign up for mediation if you end up liking the guy, see if they can get you an agreement to the finances. And when it comes to mediation, it's not a solve all, I'll tell you, because there was an unwillingness, it appeared, based on the conversation I had with her, that her spouse was not being forthright and truthful about the assets, and was in a way saying, I'm not going to disclose what I have. And she knew that there was some like cryptocurrency and some other accounts that he wasn't disclosing. He hadn't done his disclosures at all, but that he wasn't talking about and trying to conceal, if you will. Whether or not that's the case, it's the way it was making it sound. So if that's the case, and you're going to try and do mediation and you're hiding assets, well, that's not going to work. You can't drag it out of someone who, and that's not the mediator's role or job, by the way. You're not going to drag it out of them and say, hey, and they're not going to tell you, hey, you need to disclose this. You're just going to force you guys to end up getting attorneys, going to court to do discovery and all that. And that's where, you're going to spend a ton of money, and for what? It's going to pencil out at 50-50 or whatever, however that is determined by the court at the end of the day. And if you're hiding assets and it's figured out later on, guess what? They can come back after them. So I don't deal with any of that nonsense. That's why I like what I do in handling amicable divorce case. All right, third consultation, Tulare County. We love Tulare. One spouse had already moved out, and they have a few kiddos. They had discussed most of the major issues and only needed to finalize a few remaining details. Kind of like the last case, the last consultation we talked about. But these people were a little bit more ready to go. They talked about a lot in high level, nothing in writing, not that you have to. We don't require you to come to us with a document in writing. Just saying, did you have a conversation with your spouse high level, and did you discuss the things that need to be addressed in the settlement? Did you talk about division of assets and debts high level? Or you figure things out? You keep your car, keep this one. I'll pay for these debts and so forth. What are we going to do at the house? Or you haven't decided with the house. Housing is still a big issue right now. I want to say, was it this client or the last client? I don't know which of these consultations it was, but they're going to continue living together post divorce, post separation, post divorce, just because the housing was issue with the cost of renting. They didn't want to sell the house. They didn't want to move the kids out of the district. So people are really doing, and this is the nice thing about being amicable. I know you're still getting divorced, but if you're still able to cohabitate together post divorce for the sake of the kids, that's pretty good. Some people are doing the nesting arrangement where they keep the house and they alternate, 1 week on, 1 week off, and the kids stay there 100%. But each parent will move in and move out on a weekly basis every couple of days, whatever works for you guys. That can work for keeping them in the same school district and continuity with the kids, less disruption and so forth. So that's been popular. But going back to the housing, I've talked about it quite a bit. I did a long video over a year ago that talks about your options of buying your spouse out, refinancing and cashing the other out, or getting a second mortgage to buy them out. Everyone's got low interest rates. Everyone I've talked to, all of our clients, so they really don't want to give up that 2.5%, 3.5% interest rate to a 7% just to keep the house and buy them out. So they're making other arrangements, maybe trying to get a second. Problem with getting the seconds is if your income doesn't qualify you to pull out, $250,000, and half of the $500,000 in equity or whatever you guys have out there, then you can't buy them out technically. So what are you going to do? Are you going to make an arrangement that you pay off the difference in installment payments over 20 years? I've written one of those agreements up. people are doing whatever they can to keep either the spouse wants to keep it in, or the kids in it, or maybe one spouse is saying, hey, there's $250,000 in equity. You just keep the house and I'm going to keep 100% of my pension. It's equal, it's a wash, and you can do that. All right. Okay. Next consultation was a long-term marriage. This was out of LA County. They've been married for 20 plus years. And the only thing, I would say the only thing, they didn't really have any assets or debts that need to be addressed aside from like there wasn't a home. There was going to be a pension division and there was going to be spouse support. So this is one of those areas that are pretty clear. People know, the community property laws. When it comes to dividing the pension in the settlement agreement, we're simply going to state that the other party is going to receive their community property interest in that pension 401k or whatever that is. And what that means when you say community property is redressing the duration of marriage from the date of marriage to the date of separation. Any assets or debts accumulated during that time, that's considered community property. When it comes to pensions, let's say that your spouse started 5 years before you got married. You guys were married for 10 years and then you guys separated. So at that point, that person had been 15 years in that pension system. But what is your community, the non-working spouse, not you're not working in that pension, the spouse who did not accrue that pension, the community property portion would be that 10 years, essentially. When we do the settlement agreement related to that, we're going to say, other parties receive their community property share. That's all it really states. There's some other language that goes in there, and then we'll say it's going to be divided by QDRO. QDRO, Qualified Domestic Relation Order, also DRO, Domestic Relation Order. Some places call it different, but that is the tool or process by which, after the divorce, actually will move that money over tax-free to penalty-free as well, as opposed to liquidating the 401k or doing a cash out or a disbursement to get that money out. One of the consultations I had yesterday, that's where my mind went and triggered this, is they said, yeah, so we have an agreement, my spouse has these accounts and we're just going to equalize that, or she didn't say cash out, but she said something that triggered my mind to say, I think they can just withdraw that money, like you're taking it out of a savings account. So I said, just a heads up, there's a specific way you do that. Can your spouse say, hey, I'm going to withdraw $100,000 and say, here's 100? Yes. But if you do that, you're probably going to get, and I'm just making up a number, 60,000, because there's going to be a 10% penalty, I believe it is last time I looked. And then you're going to have to pay taxes on that as income. So what does that end up at? Maybe you have to take out 150,000 to net 100, and then you're paying $50,000 in taxes. So for the most part, when you're going to divide a pension, 401k, deferred compensation, 457B, things of that nature, you're going to want to do it by QDRO that occurs after the divorce, that moves the money into a like type account without penalty or taxation. So look into QDROs. You can go to divorce661.com. I have a ton of information. I have a whole write-up, a whole QDRO section that talks about it. I think you can go to the Get Started tab and then go down to QDRO, click on the link, and I have a full write-up and a video that discusses QDROs. But we do a ton of those. We offer that service as well. Aside from that, they needed help calculating spouse support. Talking about spouse support, some of our clients come to us already in agreement. They've kind of went through the numbers, looked at the math, look at their incomes, look at their expenses. The spouse is going to move out. Here's how much rent or new mortgage is going to be. Here's how much it is for the kids. And they'll just come into us and say, Tim, we already have a number in mind. Can we use that number? The answer is absolutely. Some people come in to say, Tim, we have no idea what we should do. Can you run some numbers to the court so we can get an idea, a starting point for discussions for support? And we can do that as well. We have access to the court's Digital Master software. We can run those numbers for you. And our clients that ask us to do that, we're happy to do so. And we do that so they can say, here's what would happen possibly if we went to court. And then we tell them, hey, you can either use the number, you can go higher, you can go lower, but really you guys are going to come up with the best number looking at your finances as far as, and it's not about what you feel comfortable paying. It is to a degree, but what I'm saying is, hey, my bills are X, your bills are X. Where can we meet in the middle? It's probably going to be rough for both of us. I'm probably going to end up paying more than I feel comfortable paying. You're probably going to feel you're receiving less than you really need. And that's just how things are, because if you're one income household, that's really going to hurt because now you're paying for two households. If you're a two income household, it's not going to hurt as much, depending on how far apart your incomes are. But you still, whatever you guys were making collectively, whether it's one income or two incomes, and now you're going to that, whatever that income was, and two household expenses because you're now separated and living apart, your standard of living just isn't the same. And that's just a matter of fact, unfortunately. Want to go over some key insights here of today and everything that we handled today. The e-filings across Riverside, Los Angeles, and San Diego counties really demonstrate the efficiency of using the electronic filing system. Could you imagine? Well, we did this, so I can imagine. Back in the day, and not too long ago, pre COVID, we had people come to our office every day to pick up all our court filings, and they would go to the various courts and file them. If they're outside of where our geographic area is, which is LA County, however, we handle courts all of California. We didn't have e-file back then, 3-4 years ago, and so people would come. They're not processors; I forget what we called them, attorney services, and they'd come to office every morning, 8-9 o'clock, and they'd pick up all of our filings. It would be new case filings, it would be procedural documentation filings, judgment package filings, and they'd pick it up every day, 5 days a week. They go down to the 6 courts in LA County, just off the top of my head. Do all the pickups, do all the drop offs, and then the next day they would drop off everything that they picked up the day before, pick up all our new filings. So it would take, maybe 3 or 4 days to get paperwork back from the court. Not so bad. But what the real issue was with the judgment cases, especially LA County and even most counties now, is it took forever to get the judgments reviewed and approved, which aside from LA County is still taking forever. Don't get me wrong, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. LA County, a couple weeks, sometimes a couple days. It's pretty amazing. And I think LA County, of all the counties, not only because our main area is LA County, I mean, we're geographically located here. I think there's just more divorces in LA County, and it's just a bigger county in general than the rest of the counties in California. San Diego's big. We do a ton of cases in San Diego, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, Ventura. And then as we go out in some of the smaller counties up north, Fresno, not too many. San Francisco, a lot. Contra Costa, Sacramento, San Francisco. I mean, the list goes on and on. But we're familiar with all those courts. Kind of went off on a tangent there. But e-filing is if you call someone to handle your divorce, the first thing I say, do you guys e-file? You know why people don't? Because it costs money. We pay a fee for our e-file system. We pay a fee every time we do e-file, whether it's the initial docs or the following procedural paperwork or the judgment. So an individual case could have 3 or 4 separate filings, and the fee is about $20 every time we file. We built that in. We don't charge you extra for that. It's built into our flat fee. We try and limit how much we e-file on the case. We try and just do 2 e-files per case, the initial filing, then we work to finalize all remaining paperwork, and then we e-file as one giant package, all the final paperwork. So usually 2, sometimes 3, but usually 2 per case. And what that costs is $40-$45. But I'd rather spend the money and you have instantaneous, not gratification, but confirmation that your case has been filed. Of the 7 cases we filed today, I want to say 5 of them we already got back, and it was within an hour or 2. Some of them took a little bit longer. I want to say it was our Riverside. And so we got the 4 or 5 LA County cases back within an hour or 2, filed by the court. So we're talking about the initial petition, not the judgment. Riverside has their own e-file system right now, and so they have a whole different portal, just different. So hopefully they'll come on board with the main, with the rest of the courts. There's some main filing services that you can use, and they're not on board with that yet. Hopefully they come on board with that. So they take a couple of days. In San Diego, they're on the main portal for our e-file system, but sometimes they take a little bit longer. We file with the different geographic areas in San Diego, whether it's South, Central, North, East. I think there's 4 branches. Some of them are a little faster. Some of them take a little bit longer to get back. I want to talk about the importance of mediation. I talked to you earlier about the fact that the San Bernardino case, they really weren't talking. They weren't really making any strides in over a year. I had to refer them to a mediator. The kids were adults, so it wasn't about that. It was all, I said, hey, this is about money. This is all about finances. It's about potential support, the houses, pensions, crypto if it's there, and that sort of thing. And there are mediators that specialize in the financial side of things. I haven't talked about this in quite a while. They're called certified divorce financial analysts, and they specialize in the financial side of mediation, specifically related to divorce. So, if you're going through this and you guys need help, and even if you're not, talking, or you're not communicating, or you're in agreement, but you just need to know, how does this impact you tax wise? How does this impact you financially? What does this look like long term? That's someone who, even if you have an agreement, you can sit down with and say, hey, this is what we're talking about. How does this affect me from a tax viewpoint, from a retirement viewpoint? That's what those people do. All right, number 3, comprehensive services. Whether assisting with pension division through QDROs or calculating spouse support, we can provide you a full service, tailored approach that meets your needs. Wow, that sounded really salesy. Thanks, ChatGPT. What I do, I used to, on a notepad throughout the day, because I want to do these kind of comprehensive, long form, relaxed podcasts where I kind of just freestyle, I guess. Just talk, as what comes to mind. I have some prompts. I have some things I want to talk about, things that happened today. I used to write that down on a piece of paper, and I would just read it and go, oh yeah, try to remember what it was. Now I'm using ChatGPT. So all day long, I go in, I've created a project where I say, this project is for my podcast. I'll be making comments about what I do all day, from consultations to new cases, to issues that come up, to questions clients have, to everything. And I'll just type in there and say, hey, this, I just, here's a consultation we did. Here's what came up, blah, 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 blah. And I hit enter, and it says, okay, let me know when you're ready to, you need the notes for your podcast. It's actually pretty neat. I tell it, hey, today's, January 8th. And here's what we did today. It says, thank you. I mean, if you're not using ChatGPT, it's pretty cool. I'm trying to use it for everything I think of, keeping track of things, working out. It actually can do quite a bit. So I hope you enjoyed today's Daily Perspective episode. I have to look at the streamer here, 67. Going to try and do this every day, Monday through Friday, all year long. And I hope you guys enjoy the content. Give us a call if you have an amicable divorce anywhere in California, any county. We can take care of you, and we'd be happy to help. Hope this was interesting and you learned a lot. We'll talk to you soon.